Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. It is January 3rd, 2018. And ladies and gentlemen, if you just give me one moment, I want to go ahead and share our link to this live stream on the Planet X News Facebook page so more people can join us. Just bear with me one moment. We have a pretty big discovery that has just come in. I was looking at some stereo core 2 imaging, and this was from January 1st, 2018, the beginning of the year. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and share this information right here so everybody can join us. And then we'll get down to business here. Okay, we'll exit out of there. Okay, folks. A lot of you that have been following my YouTube channel and Planet X News Facebook page, you've seen me using the NASA spacecraft that monitors the sun. It is referred to as the stereo spacecraft. And this spacecraft orbits around the sun, and it kind of follows Earth's pattern. It's in a different position than Earth, and it's a little bit of a further distance away. But it monitors the sun. And I monitor all of these public NASA websites that monitor our sun. The reason why I do so is very, very simple. Dr. Albers and I have been researching this subject for quite a long time. I'm going into I think this is my 17th year in Planet X research. And it's only been the last couple of years that, we've had some pretty serious breakthroughs. A lot of people do not even believe in this subject matter because they kind of live under a rock, or maybe it's just too much for them to believe that something else other than the known planets that we were taught about, there's something else that is in existence in our inner solar system and interacting with our sun. So I monitor all of these NASA websites and these computerized models that they have. I monitor all of their information. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand one thing. As these feeds come in from these spacecraft, naturally, NASA gets all of the information first. They have the ability to go through all of the footage. If they're receiving still photographs, whatever, they have the opportunity to delete data. And if you look down here at the bottom, when I'm referring to deleting data, this timeline right here. Now, what they give us are still photographs placed into a format to create a video. So it's a bunch of still photographs, and sometimes they're taken at every 12 minutes, 16 minutes. Some of the spacecraft differ. But they've been known to do this. And I've caught them so many times, I can't even count anymore. And I'm used to it. But that is why I have 5 computers going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, recording all of this information just in case they make a slip up, and they do quite often. I'm sure NASA has a lot of other things on their plate besides trying to block me and many others from seeing what is actually out there. I have a very structured way that I do things in order to find this object each and every month. And I've been mentioning to all of you that I've been charting all of this kind of in a calendar matter. And things are really, really starting to pan out that I know when I'm going to be able to possibly capture this object either on the Solar Dynamics Observatory or the Core 2 stereo ahead or one of the coronagraphs or the cactus coronagraph. So I have several means to have that possibility to capture this each and every month. Now, January 1st, this was kind of odd to make this capture at this time, but it may be due to the fact that the Earth is orbiting around the Sun. We are in a different position, and the stereo ahead Core 2 spacecraft is also in a different position in its orbit. So, my timeline might be slightly flawed by a few days. Now, I'm going to try not to jump around here too much, but I also monitor these coronal mass ejections on the Sun, what we refer to as CMEs. And I'm going to go over a lot of information right now because there's a lot of other people that are new to the subject matter that are joining in with Planet X News and other groups. And, I'm going to give you my take on this because I've had a lot of scientific help from Dr. Albers, and she has done a phenomenal job in opening up my eyes to a lot of the dynamics of the Sun, stars, and planets. So I wasn't expecting to even see or make a sighting of this object until, probably around the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th of January, because that's how my timeline was working out. But, I'm not a super mathematician in any sense of the word, so, trying to plot these types of orbits with a lot of unknown factors is pretty much almost impossible. So you're at a little bit of a guessing game. You're using some of your own theory. And theoretics, well, that's science. You have to theorize something first, and then you try to prove it. So, I wasn't expecting to see this object on the 1st. And we had a coronal mass ejection. It was a small one, but it was enough for me to detect this object once again. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you straight from what I know, telling you straight from my heart, this object is absolutely massive. Massive. It's very hard for us to try to calculate its actual size, but putting together all of the data that I've discovered and Dr. Albers has helped me out with tremendously, there's a very big possibility that this object is anywhere between 3 to 5 times the size of the planet Jupiter. Okay, and regardless of your educational level, regardless of your knowledge of the stars and the planets and the solar system, you cannot even fathom in your mind how big Jupiter is. Unless you were in like a little mini spacecraft and you were like the space satellite Cassini, and you were actually going out there right next to Jupiter, and you were able to see it with your own eyes. So what I'm saying is, you can't even fathom how large Jupiter is. And for another object to be out there near our sun that is possibly 3 to 5 times the size of Jupiter, well, that's just a whole new ball game. And folks, you're going to find a tremendous amount of people out there that will say this is absolutely impossible. You're a liar, you're this, you're that, you're scamming people. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I have no reason to scam anybody. And I can really give a care less about what other people think, because they're probably making these types of remarks because, number one, they're uneducated in the matter. They just don't know what they're talking about. or they're so far behind that they really need to catch up, and maybe their eyes will open. You know, we're going to be in for a very, very rough year in 2018. The way things are lining up right now, I mean, we're probably looking at every single month major cataclysms around the globe, intensifying and increasing. And here's a very, very vital point. If you personally think that nothing will ever happen to you where you live, well, listen, brighten up and think again. Because we as human beings, and even the most educated scientists on this planet, still do not understand completely the dynamics of Earth, our planet. And they sure as hell don't completely understand the dynamics of our sun, our solar system, our galaxy, and definitely not the universe. You know, these people can talk a big game, but when it comes right down to it, they don't know as much as they perceive themselves to show. I found that out over the last several years. There are a lot of people out there that want to stop the flow of the information. They do not want you to start paying attention to it. They do not want you to get yourself in depth in it, because whenever you start to study something, you become knowledgeable of the subject. You've heard me say it before. Knowledge is power, and they want to take that knowledge away from you. They do not want to give you any more power. So, you know, my message is we have to keep on moving forward. We have to keep on sharing the information. And listen, I've been getting a lot of comments and a lot of emails, and people were telling me, you know, look, Scott, I try to share the information. My family thinks I'm nuts. My friends think I'm crazy. My coworkers don't pay any attention to me. You know, folks, the only thing that I can say about that is if you give it a shot, and maybe you bring it up in a conversation and somebody puts you down, even if it's your family members, I'm starting to think that there are people out there in the world population that are going to be the enlightened ones. And then we're going to have a vast number of the world population that is so far dumbed down that there's no hope for them. I just don't know. I think about it every single day. Remember, I'm answering hundreds and hundreds of emails every day, inbox messages. I'm going through world news. I'm going through space news. I'm going through all of these models from NASA and trying to make these discoveries. And, trying to maintain my own personal life and my safety. But it's not a joke, folks. You know, they literally try to stop me and stop Dr. Albers. They definitely do not want us publicizing this information. They definitely do not want the population, like a large number of the population of this planet, to start to understand what is happening. So, getting back to what was on the Stereo Ahead Core 2. I was watching this, and what I noticed is there was a CME. There was a coronal mass ejection, and watch my cursor here, and I'm going to show you the video in full play. And it kind of comes out of this direction. Now, we've caught this object many, many times in these coronal mass ejections because based on these cameras, and they're very sophisticated cameras on these spacecraft, Planet X does not emit light. So therefore, you're really only going to be able to see it with a sophisticated infrared telescope or one of these spacecraft. the odds of us capturing this from the ground level here on Earth, it's very, 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 very slim. We may catch some anomalies in the sky being produced by this sun simulator. It's very, very hard to say. But remember, according to science, the Earth is 93 million miles away from the sun. And this object is in an orbit, a very fast orbit around the sun. We estimate it to be approximately 28 days. And that is almost the exact timing of the rotation of the sun, because our sun rotates just like our planet. So I keep capturing this object, and we're trying to gather more and more information. But listen, folks, besides a picture show on YouTube or Facebook, you yourself understanding the dynamics of what is happening is very important. Not a picture show, not a slideshow. So we're wondering now why we're having this Arctic vortex and these just absolutely insane temperatures freezing people out. Over the last couple of years, I continually went over this information kind of in a warning fashion that these things would start to occur each and every year. And as each and every year progresses, these things are going to get worse. Our Earth may seem like a tough place made of rock and iron ore and vast oceans. But in actuality, our planet is very fragile. Our atmosphere, our planet in general, our planet is in the Goldilocks zone orbiting our sun, allowing life to actually thrive. If something happens to anything catastrophically within this dynamics, we're all finished. Mankind will not be able to exist. So there is a very, very big worry about what this object's doing, what it can do, what we theorize it can do. And I'm going to put my cursor right underneath this object. And they tried to hide this. And they deleted time in this footage. I think it's about maybe 4 hours. But in that 4 hours, I would have been able to get much more clearer photographs. I would have been able to see its movement. But they don't want you to see that, and I'll show you. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run. And it's going to run slowly, so all of you can see this. You're going to see the beginnings of this coronal mass ejection right here, where my cursor is. Now here's something else that's very fishy. On the Cactus coronagraph, inverted coronagraph website that I make a lot of captures. When we have a coronal mass ejection, that information is immediately recorded and charted, and it is uploaded onto the Cactus coronagraph website. Okay, immediately upon seeing this piece of footage, once it was uploaded, I went to the Cactus to see the inverted version of the coronagraph at a different angle, and the data is always there. It's always, always there. This time, for the first time, it wasn't there. And it's still not there. So this coronal mass ejection was on January 1st. We have now just moved into January 3rd. So 48 hours has gone by. No information, no data has been uploaded. That to me is very, very strange, because I know their pattern. I've made considerable discoveries on the cactus coronagraph. I've publicized every single one of them. You know, maybe they're scrubbing the footage this time around so, you know, we don't make fools of them again. But as you can see, this coronal mass ejection starts to occur. And if you pay attention to the timeline, you're going to see missing data. You're going to see large jumps in this time. And I'll tell you right about, going to be coming up around the 1700 hour. So we're going to be going from 1724, 1739 to 2100 hours. So 1700 hours to 2100 hours. Okay, well, what happened to that time? Well, the reason why they deleted that amount of time, and I'm going to go ahead and just speed this up and show you. Okay, so we're here at the 1724 mark. You could already see the remnants of the coronal mass ejection. And, you know, there is an anomaly right here. They pixelated it really, really bad, so you really can't see what it is. It is spherical, and pay attention to the time frame down here on the clock. So we're going to step forward one frame. We're going to move into 1739, and right here at this point, well, bingo, there you go. There's your first shot of it. But the next frame should be, excuse me, about 12 to 16 minutes later, not hours. So if we click forward, now we are at 2109. Now we can go backwards. Let's do that. Let's hit reverse. Let's go backwards. And you can see the difference in the heavy pixelization, and it could be caused by all of the heavily charged particles hitting the detectors on the stereo spacecraft that cause this interference, or, you know, it could be NASA trying to blur it out. Who knows? But all I know is that at 1739-24, there's a massive object, a perfectly spherical object right there. And then if we move forward all of those hours. Why did they delete all of those damn hours? Why? I mean, clearly, they don't want you to see what we just saw. And they think because it goes by so quickly that you won't notice that instantaneous millisecond blink. You just won't notice it. But you do have the ability here to make things go faster, slow it down, go frame by frame, reverse it, whatever you want to do. So it does take some time to, you know, slow things down and try to analyze the entire screen. That's how I capture this object all the time. So we know we have an object there. It's moving away from the sun. We know they deleted 3-4 hours of footage. And we know that they did not upload the data for the coronal mass ejection, which, again, is very odd. Maybe they'll do it later on after they scrub all of the, you know, what we're seeing here. And they do that. I mean, you know they do that. NASA hires and employs so many graphic artists and, you know, people in video production. I mean, they have a whole entire department of these people. That's all they do. They used to sit down many years ago and do it with black Sharpie magic markers to block stuff out. That's been proven and shown all over the internet and YouTube. So we know we have this object, we know they deleted time, and we know they have failed to upload the coronal mass ejection data onto Cactus. It's been 48 hours, and usually that information is up the minute the coronal mass detection is detected. That's what the website is for. So we know they failed on all fronts once again. To me, that creates the deception on their end, and they don't want you to know or see what is happening. Period. So now that we've seen that and you guys see where it's coming from, I've taken some still shots, and this is kind of in a progression mode. Let me grab a sip of my coffee here. But we're going to see this up close. You'll see what I see. This image here, this is at 1639.24. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here for you. These are just the raw photographs. So, I mean, you can see this anomaly right here, and I'm going to zoom in real close, and you can see how much more pixelated it is than the rest of its surroundings. Who knows? It could be part of the camera, the interference, who knows? But to me, it was very unusual to see an extension of this CME after the CME was pretty much gone. So kind of looked like a big fireball extending from the end of that CME. So that's what kind of cued me to look over there, slow the information down, and look at it frame by frame. And you've seen what I've discovered. So let's see here. Which way was I going? We're going to go this way. And this is the next frame, 1654.24. And you can see, it looks a little bit different than the other frame, a lot brighter. We'll zoom in, and once again, here is the anomaly that I'm talking about. This is what caught my eye. And naturally, look how fake the pixelization looks compared to everything else. So I'll zoom it in, and hopefully you can see what I mean. So either they were in there trying to, pixelize an area, which is not hard to do. I mean, I have software, a couple of softwares that, I can instantly go in there and blur something or pixelize it or clear it up. So, it's not state-of-the-art technology. And we know they do it. Bottom line. So let's move to the next frame. Here we are at the 1739.24 mark, and this was the last still image before they deleted those several hours. So again, whenever I slowed this down and I saw this, I'm like, oh, okay, that definitely doesn't look normal. This is the original photograph. Nothing has been cleared up, no filter changes, nothing like that. This is actually the raw data that you're seeing. So whenever you roll into it, the pixelization looks the same as the rest of the background on the coronagraph, except for that tight area right there, which is illuminated. Did they make a mistake? Did they just not see this? You can see the perfectly clear dark black outline of this object. You're not just going to have things like this pop up and look like a sphere. So I hope everybody understands what I'm saying. You're not going to have camera anomalies on $500 million spacecraft that are going to show you fake things. You can obviously see that this object is clearly outlined because it is a sphere. It's not flat, it's round. So it was there. I just added a green arrow so everybody could see it. I mean, listen, folks. I mean, you can form your own opinions on what you're seeing. You can believe or disbelieve. All I know is I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And it's only been, the last couple of years that I decided to dig deeper and start to publicize this information so more and more people can see it, because I knew things were going to start to go south, meaning things were going to start to go bad. And, well, we've seen this progression. Now, this progression is, well, it's not going to get any better, And I just thought that it was wrong for people around the world to be blindsided with all of the events that would probably occur. Different parts of the world. Different parts of the world have kind of, different problems. Some have bad weather, cold weather, hot weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, the constant fear of, mudslides, flooding, things of that nature. Just crazy weather. So like I said, the earth is a very delicate place. And all of these things occurring, will they affect human beings on this planet? The more and more I thought about it, I'm thinking, wow, how many other people know about this? I know there were, a large group of people, like scientists and people that were trying to expose the subject matter, but maybe not digging deep enough. I don't know. But I just thought it was time for me to open my big mouth and start using my brain and my intelligence to seek the truth. People may lose interest in what they're seeing, but if they do that and they don't stay up on the information, then I think you're making a huge mistake. I think you're making a huge mistake concerning your own safety, your own well-being. You're not doing yourself any justice. And for the people around you that say that they don't believe in this crap and that can't be possible, well, folks, just think what life is going to be like for them when they get that big surprise. That surprise that you wake up to in the middle of the night as the walls in your house start crumbling. Or if you're in a flood zone or an area near water and something goes awry and all of a sudden you're waking up in your bedroom and you're underwater. Or if you live, many, many miles away downwind from a massive volcano and all of a sudden you feel the rumble and you wake up and you're engulfed in pyroclastic gases from the volcano and the ash, which if inhaled is like breathing in powderized glass. So if you think for 1 minute that you're immune to any of this, you're sadly mistaken. And the people that don't believe you or don't believe in you and the information, they too are sadly mistaken. Me, I want to live. I want to live. I still have things in my life that I want to experience and things that I want to do. So I'm trying to protect myself, the people that are my friends and family, the people that I love. I'm trying to protect all of them, at least by giving them the knowledge. I can't just walk out there and put an umbrella over them and say, okay, you're all safe. But we have already seen some very, very tragic events, all weather related. And, that's going to be some of the big keys, folks. And I mentioned this back in 2016. I harped on it and I talked about it a lot in 2017 in the beginning of the year. And I told people, listen, as soon as we tick over to May 2017, we were going to start to see some pretty wild rides with the earthquakes and the volcanoes. And I pinpointed that we were probably going to have one of the worst hurricane seasons that, modern man has ever seen. Because I saw all of the dynamics, just winding up for it. And sure enough, we all saw it all played out. We saw, probably thousands of people lose their lives, lose their homes, go through absolutely traumatic situations that would just bend your mind in fear to go through. So I hope you're all seeing my point. These scary times, folks, they're here to stay. And if you do not keep yourself in tune, then I truly believe that you're looking at an early demise if you get caught up in one of these cataclysms. And they're going to increase. So we can talk about the weather now. I did a few videos and some articles today about what is happening with this Arctic air. I've said it many, many times before. Dr. Albers has worked on the subject matter of our Earth tilt and this wobble. There will be a lot of people out there, and scientists included, that say that's not happening. But in actuality, it is happening, and it's been happening for a long time. The progression of this wobble and this tilt, well, it's gotten worse. It's creating very severe abnormalities in our jet stream in both hemispheres, the northern and the southern hemispheres. The jet streams are out of control. Meteorologists on your local news, they all know and they all see it. And throughout this hurricane season, a lot of them, probably most of them, were very, very confused in the beginning about what they were seeing. So this polar vortex, this massive amount of cold air, why is it happening? So if you just take a look at the Earth, it's supposed to have this 23.5 degree tilt as it rotates and orbits around the sun. That creates our seasons, as they say. But let's just say that you increase this tilt slightly, maybe 5 degrees, maybe 8 degrees. Do you think that that small change is going to create massive disruptions on this planet dealing with our weather? Of course it would. That small amount will create absolute climate chaos. We've been seeing the climate chaos steadily increasing over the past couple of years. These last 2 years have been very, very significant. And 2018 is not going to be any different, folks. It is actually going to be worse. Trust me on this. It is going to be worse. And we're going to see more and more agencies like the USGS and agencies that monitor volcanic activity. They're going to start blacking out more and more of this information. I'm telling you. I'm sure you all realize it. The threat of information is falling to the wayside. That's why gaining numbers in our groups of people on this planet that are paying attention to what's happening, that are doing their own little personal research and helping out tremendously, we need to increase in numbers around the world, no matter what color your skin is or what religion you worship, no matter what nationality or country that you come from, no matter what language that you speak. We can still all communicate and spread the information worldwide. That's what needs to be done. It needs to be done quickly, like right now. So, getting back to the Arctic air that this has pushed down, and it has basically engulfed almost all of the United States, and it's progressing. This is going to be something that we are going to now live with. And it's actually going to get worse. So over the last couple of days, I've been looking back on all of my information from 2017 and 2016. And I've seen the progression. And the pattern is almost identical, but already slightly worse than last year and the year before. That's only telling me one thing, is that the stress that Planet X puts on the sun, it's also putting that stress on our planet. Our magnetic field that protects our planet is weakening tremendously. Science has admitted it, but they won't give us the true data. So we have to kind of chart that by what we're seeing. These earthquakes on this planet, folks, are a big problem. You don't get that early warning. It just happens. That's dangerous. The situations with our weather, it is going to continue to get more dangerous. So the situation that we're in right now, if you didn't watch my video today based on this wobble and this polar vortex, you need to go ahead and watch that, because I'm not going to go through another 30 minutes of charting this polar vortex out. But if you just tilt our planet back another 5 or 8 degrees, you're going to push the United States backwards a little bit, actually where the North Pole should be. When you do that, you're now exposing that landmass to more frigid temperatures. And listen, folks, the North Pole, the Arctic, is just not even where it should be, considering the massive amount of ice melt in both poles this year, or in 2017 alone, is proving that these poles are not in their right position, where they actually should be. Then I've got these people saying, oh, well, just look at the North Star. It's in the same place. What the hell are you talking about? That has nothing to do. Oh, we could still see it from our position. Oh, look at the North Star. Look at the North Star. That's just absolutely asinine. This planet is tilting. Some people refer to it as a pole shift, but there's two different kinds of pole shifts. There's a magnetic pole shift, and there is a crustal pole shift. That would be just absolutely the most violent thing this planet would go through, and the amount of people that would live would be very, very low. You wouldn't even want to live after something like that. The magnetic fields of the Sun and Planet X are absolutely intense. Once again, as I talked about, the size of Jupiter and we as people not being able to fathom how big it really is, you can't even begin to understand how powerful the magnetic field of the Sun is. And we have no way of measuring the magnetic field of Planet X because we don't know enough. But we do know that it does have a very, very, very strong magnetic field. As Planet X orbits our Sun, and we on Earth orbit the Sun, there are going to be points in time where we're closer to this object. And the closer we get, it's going to be like putting two magnets together, one being stronger than the other. Depending on the distance between those two magnetic forces, one's going to attract the other. And if it's our Earth with a weaker magnetic field, then that pole is going to start to shift. It's going to start to wobble because of the magnetic energy from Planet X onto our planet. I mean, these are basic physics facts. So timing is always going to be everything in our orbit around the Sun and the orbit of this monster. People ask me constantly about this breakaway speed. Listen, folks, I'm going to be quite honest with you. We don't have any evidence whatsoever of any type of breakaway speed. When people are talking about that, they're referencing very old commentary information on the theory of Nibiru. Okay, but we're not dealing with this theory of Nibiru. We're actually dealing in real life right now. So you can call this object whatever you want, but it's not the Nibiru or the Nemesis. This is our planet X. This is, it really even shouldn't even be called a planet because it's not a planet. A planet would not be able to survive being that close to the Sun. So that's where we've come to the conclusion that this object has to be a stellar core remnant, the core of a burned out sun. If you're wondering what that is, have you ever taken a baseball, taken the cover off and, unwound all of the twine, and you get all the way to the center, and there's that core inside of the baseball. I believe they're made of almost like a bubblegum colored rubber sphere. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the inside, the core, the beginning of a star that's probably billions of years old, but still very powerful even after it's burned out and shed, all of its life. It is still very powerful. When it interacts with our sun, like I said, two magnetic fields interacting. Now, our sun is probably much more powerful than this object. I don't know. But what I do know is over the course of the last 2 years, we have seen major, massive disruptions and anomalies on the sun for the last 2 years, and it is getting worse. It's not getting better. And the fact that scientists are telling us that we are going into the solar minimum, the grand solar minimum, some are saying that we've arrived into this solar minimum a year and a half early, something that's never been seen before. So all of a sudden, over the course of the last 2 years, I hear that terminology frequently. We've never seen this before. We've never seen this before. This is the first time that we've seen this. Well, don't you think that all of those comments like that, this is the first time we've seen this, this has never been seen before, don't you think that those statements by credible scientists and space organizations and agencies, I've been hearing them use this terminology frequently for many years. So we're supposed to trust in their intelligence and come out with a statement by NASA, there's no such thing as Planet X. Something may be lurking at the edge of space, but we haven't seen it. Listen, folks, do you actually think that they're going to make the same statement to you and say, yes, we found that object lurking near the sun? No way would they ever, ever, ever admit this. They will keep producing the disinformation and the trolling campaigns and their scare tactics and, basically their defamation campaigns towards the individuals that are disclosing the information and making the discoveries. Because myself and Dr. Albers, we're victims of that every single day, and you have no idea. So this freezing, ice-cold subarctic air is not going to be leaving the United States anytime soon. I've been studying the weather for many, many years. Over 20 years now. Things have gotten more sophisticated, a little bit easier, and a lot more accessible. So from what I'm seeing, the root cause of this massive polar vortex of air was all created by big problems in the jet stream in the North Pacific. That pushed up a very large high pressure into northwestern Canada along the coast, right below Alaska. That high temperature was very, very warm air being pushed up by this massive flow from this erratic jet stream. It collided with the Arctic Canadian air, and it literally pushed it aside. When it pushed it aside, it's now pushing it all the way down into the United States. At the same time, our Earth, our planet, is tilting a little bit more than normal. And then taking into consideration this wobble, that, it takes a year for this wobble to complete itself. But when I was looking at that data, which is up to date to, I believe, the 15th of December, that wobble is still there. And it's almost in the same pattern as it was last year. Excuse me. So again, folks, understanding all of these dynamics is more than just a picture show on YouTube or Facebook. A lot goes into trying to understand all of this. So the more and more all of you guys pay attention and you start to learn and you start to make your own observations and you start sharing the information like I do, well, that's where this huge network really starts to take effect. In this past year of 2017, I truly believe that Planet X News has made some huge dents in helping gather, produce, and spread this information. The most credible information. I'm not just sitting here tooting my own horn, folks, but I'm just saying I pay attention to everything going on around the world, gathering information from every freaking corner. Dr. Albers and I have really poured our heart and our soul and our time and our lives into this because we want everybody else out there to have that power, which is based within the knowledge. The more and more we spread the information, the better off we're going to be. The more and more we understand the information, the better off we're going to be. And there is so many other factors out there also revolving around politics and the governments and this deep space, deep state and the special space program. I mean, we're talking all kinds of agendas. I mean, there's even the deep alien agenda, which I also try to investigate in my own spare time. I try to investigate all of it. But what I truly see as a major problem right now is what you're looking at on your screen and what is happening to our planet. Getting that false sense of security that nothing's going to happen to you because you live in one of these, quote, safe zones, or I'm not near the water, or we don't have earthquakes here, or we don't have volcanoes. Well, for the majority of the people sitting in the United States right now, probably I would say maybe 85 to 90% of you are freezing your ass off. So bitter cold that you go outside and you are literally breathing in the air that should be in the Arctic. But the temperatures in the Arctic are possibly warmer. Go check it out for yourself, folks. Arctic temperatures should be around minus 40, minus 50, minus 60. Go take a look and investigate it for yourself and see what the temperatures in the North Pole are compared to what is in the United States right now. Do a little project. Check it out. I did it. It was pretty shocking. So is Canada and the United States becoming the new North Pole in this phase of the Earth's travel in its orbit around the sun? Yeah, the answer to that is yes. How long will it last? That's very hard to say. We'll come out of it, but we may be looking at another mild summer like we had this year. Yes, we had some hot weather, but we didn't have this massively excruciating summer. We may end up in that same type of pattern. But then once we move back around, we get into the fall and the winter solstices in the northern hemisphere. and we're maybe tilted just a little bit more, maybe another degree or two. Well, what does that do, folks? That now brings almost like a mini ice age into the United States for possibly a month and a half to 2 months. See, people may think that the Earth can't do this. Your theories are crazy. It's the opposite. Your knowledge of what is happening is your ignorance. So these are some of the dynamics of what is happening. As we see the Arctic air moving down all through the northern hemisphere, not just the United States, over in northern India, all of Russia, China, all of those other countries in Eastern Europe. And then we flip the globe over and we head to the southern hemisphere. The hottest place on the planet right now is in Australia. What had happened there last year was an eye-opener for me, because in Australia last year, they went through a freaking massive heat wave that stressed their electrical systems, and people lost their lives from the heat. This year, identical. I was charting temperatures over the last couple of days throughout different areas of Australia. I clocked one in at 114 degrees. But the majority of the area was well over 100, except for some of the coastal areas. But still very hot. Extreme hot, extreme cold. It's a sphere. If you turn the sphere towards the heat source, it gets hotter. If you turn the sphere away from the heat source, it gets colder. So that's where we're at right now. We have to keep on generating more and more exposure to what is happening, because there are too many people out there that are just, kind of old school. They just don't believe that this can happen. Scientifically, yes, it can happen. Astronomically, yes, it can happen. We live in a damn galaxy with billions of stars and billions of planets. So yes, it can happen. It's a very interesting time to actually be alive. There's no doubt about that. But over the course of the next couple of weeks, folks, you may think the weather thing is boring. I'm going to be doing a lot of reporting on it because I think it's necessary. It's part of what I do and what Dr. Albers does. As I mentioned very early this morning in my video about the weather, I was showing everybody, what was brewing over there on the East Coast of the United States. Sure enough, by 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight on the East Coast, well, all of the weather channels and the media started coming out with, ooh, look at this. And it has the potential to be absolutely disastrous. And there are systems moving across the Atlantic, getting ready to just bash right into Europe. The UK, Scotland, Spain, France, Portugal, all of those Atlantic coastal countries. And parts of Canada on the eastern coast, they're going to get hammered too. And I mean just probably really bad. So, these dynamics with the weather, they're going to become more and more and more extreme. See, Planet X is not going to crash into the Earth and just be the demise of Earth. As I've mentioned for the last 2 years, it is a slow progression. And each and every year, we're going to see this. We're going to see these increases. This is what we need to pay attention to. That's why getting the information out to each and every person that you possibly can, possibly making them understand and bringing them on board, again, very important. If you're sitting there now listening to me, if you watch the videos on Dr. Albers' channel and mine, and you follow the Planet X News Facebook page and our website, then you're understanding what is happening. You also have the ability with a few clicks on your cell phone or your computer to do your small part and share and spread that information wherever you can. Tweet it out. Be like Donald Trump, man. Tweet the links, tweet the photographs. Share it on Facebook. Make sure you head over to our website. There's a lot more information on the website that I'm able to get articles on and post on a minute-by-minute basis. But this is our newest discovery. It comes on the first day of the year. I think that's pretty cool. First day, 2018, boom, another big discovery. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing from the view of Stereo Core 2, we're actually seeing Planet X moving away from the sun. But it will be coming right back in. This timing might be off. We might have a little bit of a lull in the earthquake activity and coronal mass ejections. It's hard to say, but we'll see. We'll continue to monitor this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because all of the information is very, very vital. You know, folks, people are asking me about preparation. What should they do? The best advice I can give to all of you is sit down and think about it. Think about what you will definitely need. Water, some medical supplies of some kind, flashlight, batteries, some type of personal protection, whatever you want to use, food, maybe a cooking source, power outages. We're going to see a lot of that in 2018, folks. There's no doubt we are going to see some big problems with our power grids. Mark my words, today, January 3rd, you heard me saying it. So, if your house runs completely on electricity, your furnace, everything, stove, everything's electric, then, you may want to think, oh boy, I'm going to need a way to either possibly heat this place or, I need flashlights, I need some battery-operated lanterns, I need a cooking surface, like a small Coleman propane stove. They're the ones you use for camping. They're maybe the size of a large briefcase with a small propane canister. 2 burners. You could actually heat something up. But the food and the water, the protection, the medical kit, a plan. See, folks, I can't really answer for each and every one of you because I don't know you. I don't know the way that you think. I don't know where you live. I don't know what your houses look like. I don't know what your surroundings look like. So that's where you and your personal key planning begins. If you have to evacuate, how far are you from a highway? How far are you from, what you would consider a safety zone? So, you folks need to all sit down Make that your New Year's resolution, to get your shit in order. Know where to go. Know what to do. Have these supplies on hand. See, I got stuck the other day. My pipes froze. And it took 2 days to properly thaw it out and get it running. 2 days. But in that 2 days, see, I had myself covered. I keep 50 gallons of water. And those are in 1 gallon jugs. I keep that on hand. And I have 5 cases of bottled water. You got to flush a toilet or something like that, and you're still in your house and you don't have any water. You got multiple people living in your house. Yeah, that crap can get, pretty high in the toilet. You want to flush it. You use some of those big gallon jugs. You need to make something, drink something. At least you have that water. You want to brush your teeth, wash your face, whatever. So, whenever you lose power, everybody starts bitching and complaining. When you lose your water, everybody starts complaining. And after a day or two, you're really thinking, oh man, does this suck? Well, just imagine if you didn't have fresh running water coming out of your faucet for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Just think about if you didn't have electrical power for a few days, a week, a month. Look at what happened to the people in Puerto Rico and the islands. I spoke with one of my subscribers the other day. God bless her, but her and her family live in Puerto Rico. They still don't have power. If we went that freaking long without power here in the United States, wow, man, people would be complaining. They'd be going nuts, freaking out, not knowing what the hell to do. I hope things get better for the people on the island of Puerto Rico and the other Caribbean islands that were just massacred. There will be a lot of trying times ahead, folks, for this upcoming year. But listen, don't let all of this stop you from enjoying your life, doing the things that you want to do. Live it. Live this life. I kind of go at it like it's 1999, I'm going to party till it's over. When the lights go out, they go out. When I'm gone, I'm gone. But I'm going to live my life. And I refuse to live my life in fear. And the way that I beat that fear is by increasing my knowledge. Because the more I know about it, the fear goes away. And I want to confront it head on. But that's me. So guys, let's get prepared. Start thinking about some of these situations I've mentioned. Try to get these things on hand. And just sit down and think, what am I going to need? You, yourself, personally. And all I could say is, let's see what happens. I'm going to keep track of everything that I possibly can. All of you all need to join in also. Stop worrying about people thinking that you're crazy. If you're following this information and you're trying to gain knowledge for yourself, don't let that bother you. Move forward. Because when the shit hits the fan, those people are going to be the first ones knocking on your door and saying, hey, can you spare some water? Can you spare some food? Get your house in order. Worry about yourself. If people don't believe you, they don't believe you. But continue to share the information. Now, I'm going to be getting some more of these still photographs cleared up and the resolution brought up to a much higher resolution, so we could maybe see a little bit more detail on these captures. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all free to share my information, the photographs that are on the Planet X News Facebook page. Share the videos. Go to the Planet X News website. When I post the articles, take the time, click on them, read them. There is substance in everything that I put out there. And the reason is so you know about it. That one article, that one video, that one post, it may affect your life. It may be just that piece of knowledge that came at the right time and now you need it. You just never know. But anyways, folks, I'm going to call it a night, end this live stream. I'd like to thank all of you for being here. I know it's kind of late for some, early for others. But stay tuned. Keep yourself in the loop. And as soon as I get the higher resolution photographs for this capture on January 1st, 2018, we'll be publicizing them. Dr. Albers will probably do an article on the information. And remember, try to get your house in order. First couple of weeks of this new year, make that your goal. Get yourself protected in case of any emergency. You and your family are protected. And then we'll go from there. We'll probably do a live stream with Dr. Albers sometime tomorrow based on the information that you're seeing now. So once again, folks, Happy New Year. It's going to be a very, very unusual and eye-opening year for 2018. Mark my words. But make sure you stay tuned. Keep yourself in the loop. Don't ever forget, knowledge is power. Good night, everybody. Take care.